I'm Duncan Lievi, and this video will be dedicated to the most protected, thus far, move in the history of the WWE. Namely, Randy Orton's punt. This video is dedicated to long-term storytelling, mystique, tradition, theatricality, and importance of wrestling moves being given the warranted respect. Why is the punt the punt? What is the punt? When did the punt start? These are questions that are important to be answered. So let's start at the beginning. In May of 2007, I think it was the 14th or the 15th of April, 2007, Randy Orton, young Randy Orton, delivered the first punt, the first proper punt, to Shawn Michaels. What is the punt? A person is lying on the ground and you run up to them as if their head is a soccer ball, football, and you kick it. You kick the head of that person. And the impact is shown to be so devastating, so malicious, so skull-crushing, literally, that the person goes bye-bye. I'm going away, folks. It's all over. The match is over. My current run with the company is over. Probably I'll forget all about this. Over. That degree of overness is bestowed upon the punt. It's bestowed upon the punt because it is built over time. The punt is not a cheap move. You do the punt, the other guy is gone. The other guy is unconscious. The other guy is so badly hurt, sometimes he forgets who he is. Just ask Husky Harris. He became Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt became The Fiend. The punt is magic. Why is it magic? I'll give you an example. One of the running themes of this entire story will be perhaps the greatest in-ring performer of the WWE, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, as I've already said, was the recipient of the first punt. He was also the recipient of that punt which has caused me to make this video. On August 17th, something happened. Shawn Michaels received a punt. Before that punt, he received an RKO. And he was still moving! He was still moving! Why is he moving? He should be selling it as well as he sold the very, very first punt, but that did not happen. That never happened. He looked as if he was just about to get on his feet. The punt was no longer the punt because people started calling it a kick to the skull. I'm not sure why they go skull and why they don't just say skull. Anyway, that's besides the point. Why is the punt magic? Take the same guy, Shawn Michaels. He had this move called Sweet Chin Music. A super kick with a fancy name and some theatricality, preceded by raising your foot, stomping it back down on the ring to let the crowd know that something amazing is going to happen. A finishing move is about to be delivered, an actual finishing move which has all the possibility, which has all the capability, which has all the potential for damage to finish this match off. Sweet Chin Music was a finisher in that it finished matches. It did what it was supposed to, marketed to do. In modern day wrestling, you have this move called Superkick. And a lot of people do it. A lot of people slap their thighs to convey to the audience this impact that this move has delivered to the recipient. But almost everyone kicks out of super kicks because they're not marketed as Sweet Chin Music. So the super kick has lost its value. But the super kick itself was never on the same level as that of the punt, because the punt is not a common move. Not everyone does it. Only Randy Orton does the punt. Of course, some people are going to come toward me and tell me Pat McAfee in 2020 hit a punt, but that is not the punt to the head. The punt of Pat McAfee is not the punt. It does not have a 13-year legacy to it, so please sit down. The punt, up to and excluding August 17th, 2020, has been magic. It's been preserved. It's been given the requisite respect. It's amazing. It's been untarnished. It had been untarnished before Shawn Michaels was stirring after not just a punt, an RKO and a punt. And not just that, I thought maybe Shawn Michaels, he's retired. Maybe he's forgotten that he's the one who received the first ever punt, and maybe, just maybe, this was a miscue, and this is not a harbinger for things to come. But then, just the very next week, after Drew McIntyre retained the WWE Championship against Randy Orton with a backslide, Randy Orton attacked Drew McIntyre. Perfectly in storyline, perfectly in character, no worries. But what happened? What happened during the attack? Randy Orton ambushed McIntyre. He took him to the gorilla position. If you don't know what it is, it's just before the ramp, the portion backstage where the officials of the WWE sit to check all the action. That's what gorilla is. So Randy Orton takes McIntyre there. And he gets the upper hand. People are trying to get them separated, but they fail. And Randy Orton gets Drew to be prone and on the ground. Drew McIntyre finds himself between a wall and Randy Orton. Orton takes a lucky shot. I'm not going to say punted, because that's not what it was. He also missed Drew's head, so it's not a punt. But it is a kick to the skull. If you believe Tom Phillips, it is a kick to the skull! So, that happened. And Drew McIntyre was stirring. He was fine. He was really okay after a so-called kick to the skull. So, of course, this is not the punt, because the punt is figuratively, but almost really in kayfabe, killing people. Not just that. This is just the beginning. After that, Drew McIntyre received another punt, because, of course, this is 2020, and all good things must apparently come to an end, and Randy Orton punts Drew McIntyre again. Again, does not deliver properly, but that's not the point. Another kick to the skull results in Drew McIntyre, in disarray, a little bit of pain, because that's what would happen when the most devastating finisher of all time has been delivered to you. Anyway, he's still stirring. He's still rising to his feet and falling down. So, it's not nothing. It's not nothing, but it's not the goddamn punt. Later on in that evening, you have Randy Orton facing off against this main roster rookie, but very famed NXT Fable hero, Keith Lee. It's an okay match, which is just there. In the context of the story I'm telling, it's nothing. It's just a match that is happening. Drew McIntyre, previously the recipient of 2 kicks to the skull, pulls Randy Orton away, causing a distraction, handing Orton the win against the babyface Keith Lee. And then Drew McIntyre, after 2 kicks to the skull, still has enough wherewithal, presence of mind, physical ability to orchestrate an attack on Orton. And Orton slithers away because he's the Viper. And McIntyre is breathing deeply. Keith Lee is nowhere to be seen when McIntyre enters the ring. It is to let you know that Drew McIntyre is a really resilient guy. He can withstand the punt. But he can't, because this was not the punt. I know, but it's still real to me, damn it. And then, of course, after that incident, after that attack, Drew McIntyre is giving an interview. And he is about to say something to Randy Orton when Randy Orton decides that, okay, this is another great opportunity to attack. And he attacks Drew McIntyre from behind. And this time, Drew McIntyre does not find himself between a wall and Randy Orton. It's just that Drew McIntyre is on the ground and Randy Orton has some, how do you say, a bit of time to charge and then deliver the punt. This might have been a punt. The third kick to the skull might have been a punt. Because, well, Orton delivered it and McIntyre, oh my god, after the third kick to the skull, he's motionless and he's not moving. And something that should have happened after the very first one. But I digress a little bit for a little while. So then McIntyre is written off television because he might have a skull fracture. Because, kick to the skull, not the punt. If you haven't been paying attention, kick to the... So that is going on. The next week, Orton is supposed to face Keith Lee because Keith Lee is a friend of McIntyre, and this attack has caused Keith Lee to challenge Orton and receive a match against Orton. So on and so forth. McIntyre is then revealed to have received a jaw fracture from Randy Orton because of the third kick to the skull. Because, of course, kick to the skull, jaw, that makes proper sense. I should be happy that it's something that, oh my god, the third kick to the skull resulted in some sort of injury, and Drew was not okay. Drew was not okay even after the first two. He was just stirring, but he was not okay. No. The only thing I'm now afraid of is that Drew McIntyre is going to kick out of the punt. And why is that so important to me? I don't know. Actually, I do know, but the emotions I'm feeling might be a bit exaggerated. But maybe you can follow. 13 years of storytelling, 13 years of preserving a move might come to an end to put one guy over for Drew McIntyre. I absolutely love Drew McIntyre's work, especially since he became champion in 2020. In the pandemic era, he's been perfect. He has disposed of Seth Rollins, he's disposed of Dolph Ziggler more than satisfactorily. He has taken up the challenge of and disposed of Bobby Lashley. He is too good a superstar to need the rub that would result after killing 13 years of storytelling. No one needs that. You remember the streak? The Undertaker's fabled WrestleMania 21-0 streak. Who beat him? Brock Lesnar. Why? Because you've got to give back to the business. Okay. And Brock Lesnar needed that? No. Did Brock Lesnar benefit from that? Yes, because at least Paul Heyman was there to convey to you that this is ridiculously monumental. If you didn't already get the memo from the reactions of the live crowd when the streak came to an end. There was no ringing of the bell. There was no Brock Lesnar's music immediately after the win. People were amazed. People were shocked. Oh my God, what has gone on here? What has happened? Am I really seeing this? This is the stuff of legend. I'm going to be looking back at this moment 30, 40 years from now, telling my grandkids, oh my God, I was there when the streak died. But what was the benefit of that? Other than one squash match and then Lesnar being the greatest part-time champion of all time. The squash match I'm talking about is SummerSlam 2014, where John Cena was disposed of in mere minutes in very dominant fashion by Brock Lesnar because he was selling the momentum that he had gained after beating the streak. But in long-term storytelling, now the end of the streak means nothing! Absolutely nothing. If you take a poll of all WWE fans, even the ones who try to rationalize everything because you should give back to the business and lose on the way out, it was not Undertaker's last match by any stretch. I think I might not be exaggerating when I say at least 80% would disagree with the decision of having the streak end. Of course, Vince McMahon knows a lot of things that I don't know, and Vince McMahon probably knows a lot of things I don't know, even when he makes the decision of killing the punt. But I need magic in professional wrestling. I need magic. I need things that are a sure thing. Undertaker winning at WrestleMania. Asuka winning in general before being defeated by Charlotte at WrestleMania. CM Punk not being fed to legends who aren't going to be there the next day after he loses to them. 2013-14. Dean Ambrose being a big-time heel after his return from very dangerous surgery in his elbow. I need opportunities like those to not be squandered. Those were moments, those were story arcs that I was looking forward to as an ardent fan of the product. The punt is something that had been retired because it was banned, because it was legitimately dangerous, which further sold the implied damage of the punt even in kayfabe and in real life, because it had been banned in real life. With everything that has happened, it is clear to me that magic should not return. If magic has been retired, it's better, because otherwise the WWE will just WWE everything. It will kill mystique. It will kill long-term storytelling in favor of moments, in favor of shock value. And I know that the thumbnail to this video is of a man pulling his hair back as if he's cosplaying or parading around his edge about to deliver a spear. But that is representative of how much agony I would feel if coming to a pay-per-view near you, the Death of the Punt, rest in peace, 2007 to 2020, actually happens. So I wanted to celebrate this accomplishment because they say, you know, you should appreciate things while they're still around. So the punt is still around, even though Drew McIntyre and, well, it's not his fault, it's the booker's fault. So even though the WWE has done almost everything to make me believe that it's coming to an end. So because it hasn't come to an end, and I don't want to glorify everything posthumously, I'm going to recognize it now. The most effective, most protected, most valued maneuver in the history of an entire company whose history spans decades. The punt might be dying. So please take at least 30 seconds from your day, if you're a real ardent WWE fan, to just recognize this achievement, and I hope that I can somehow get this enough attention that everyone understands that this is something amazing. We might not have the Undertaker streak anymore. We might not be in a world where Asuka's undefeated anymore. That had to end sometime, but still, the way it happened bothered me. But we still have the punt, which was brought back in a match against Edge. In a match that had been labeled as the greatest wrestling match ever. It was done because of SEO dominance, and that's a different video. You can go to Tom Collihue's YouTube channel to see why that match was marketed as such, but I believed it because I like to still treat things as real. Kayfabe. Count me in. I'm going to buy into kayfabe like nobody's business. It's after a 7-year absence, almost a 7-year absence from WWE, the punt returned in the greatest wrestling match ever, and it disposed of Edge in Edge's second match back, in Edge's first actual pure wrestling match in 9.5 years. The punt is the move that put him away. The Legend Killer was brought back as a result of the punt returning. On the first night of the punt returning, Randy Orton punted Christian. And Orton was continuing probably the greatest stretch of character work in his entire career. I had this slight fear that the punch shouldn't be back. It should only be restricted to the greatest wrestling match ever, and then it's gone. Gone, retired, while it's still alive. I heard in an interview with Randy Orton recently that he brought back the punt because he could deliver it safely again. And I'm really glad, because of course I don't actually want people to get hurt from the punt. But I don't actually want people kicking out of the damn punt or treating it like a signature move or even a finisher. It's not. It's a boss level move. It's the boss level move. Let the magic stay. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope in 10 years I look back at this video, if I'm still around, and just be happy that I valued something so much 10 years ago. It's still alive. I'd be happy the punt is never seen or heard from again. We don't see another punt. It's fine. Orton doesn't win another championship. That's okay. McIntyre is a great champion. What is not okay is there being no iota of theatrical kayfabe magic left in modern day WWE. And the punt is one of the last things, last remnants of that to me. So if you're watching this and you've lasted this long, I thank you for your attention, for having an attention span longer than most wrestling fans these days. Thank you for watching. Sincerely, this has been Duncan Lievi, and I hope to be wrong in my fears. Save the punt. Don't kill the punt. Until next time, this has been Duncan Lievi. Thank you for watching.